like, oh my gosh, I remember that. It was Fraser Smith and I. We had a writing session,
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason we went to that restaurant in Burbank, and
Yep.
and I remembered that. I see.
I
I
remember
like it.
what table you were at even. I remember that.
Wow, what table? Do we have
You
a
were,
number?
yeah, you were at table 90 at the time.
90. Wow, that's probably how many jokes we wrote. No. Oh wait,
Hey,
I'm sorry. That's the last time we wrote a joke. Was 1990. No.
I was gonna say 90. That's a lot of jokes in a day.
No. Yeah. Oh, we have been writing some good jokes, man. We have been writing some good jokes. Like, here's my latest
All right.
topical material. So Bill Cosby, he wants to do a tour of comedy clubs. I don't know if you know this.
No.
This is true. His people
Oh
are
my
reaching out to
God.
comedy clubs to tours. He was going to try to do it on Zoom, but his computer kept falling asleep.
Pocket party.
All right. So how should I introduce you? Should I say like comedian and former waitress, or?
I think former waitress might be a reach, actually.
Okay.
I'm not quite making all the money in the world yet with comedy, so
let's start it. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And we're back. Hey everybody, it's your host Darren Carter, the party starter on the Pocket Party Podcast. We have the one and only Heather Winter. Hi, Heather.
Hi, Darren. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh man, I had to have you on the show when I realized when I found out about the name of your podcast. Tell everybody what the name of it is.
It's Can I Get Some Ranch? I got the artwork right here, rocking it. Yeah, we just get on and we just talk a lot of smack about customers and what it's like to serve.
So yeah, you and I met you. I guess I met you in the past. You actually, I was having lunch with Fraser Smith at a restaurant in Burbank.
Yes.
And you were are they called waitresses now or servers?
I mean, I don't really care either way. I know waitresses is a little dated, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't care. Waitress, server, whatever they feel like. Hey, you, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. And you watch like 10, 15 years from now, even server is going to be like, they're going to come up with another word. So you're going to be like, back in my day, we were servers and we served people. We were servants. It's
right.
like, they're like, we don't do that anymore. So.
We don't say that. We don't say serve anymore. You were not owned by those people. Oh.
Exactly. I know. Yeah, because when I was a waiter, I did it for 3 months. And
wow.
And
Lucky
I know
you.
3 months. I know. And I was just like, I thought it was a kind of a cool thing, like like when I grew up in like the 80s, there was like I was working as a waitress in a cocktail bar. There was this,
oh yeah. I know that song.
And I think there was even a rock group called the Waitresses. They had like that Christmas song, right?
That's dating me. I don't know the waitresses. I haven't met them. I haven't heard of them.
And then when Server came out, I was like, Server. I just and then
yeah.
But I get it though. It's like
sing a song about that.
Exactly. I was a server in a cocktail bar. Everyone was 6 feet distanced. I don't know what they're gonna do, but I remember. So I met you last week. Well, that I remember. I don't remember the first time, but you're like, hey, I served you, and we struck up a conversation at the comedy club. And turns out you're pursuing your dream of being a comedian and doing comedy, and you've been at it for about 10 years now.
Yeah.
And I just love the idea of your podcast.
Oh,
and
thank you.
And that's why I wanted to have you on. And how did you get into, like, tell us how this came about, the idea of the podcast.
Oh man. Well, okay. So I moved out here from Ohio and I needed a job and I had never served before. I've worked in customer service forever, but I never served in a restaurant. I worked briefly in the back of the house, but it was the back of the house. And so I moved out here and I was trying to get a job because obviously the reason everybody serves out in LA is because it's flexible. You can call off, you can get somebody to pick up your shift. It doesn't matter. And so I was trying to find a restaurant that would hire me. And my grandma was like, she's like, just lie on your resume. Just tell them you've served before. Just lie. And I was like, Grandma, I can't lie. And she's like, no, everybody does it. Just lie. And I was like, okay. And so I lied, got my first restaurant job. And I just, I guess the way it came about is that I just couldn't I couldn't wrap my head around the fact that some people treated servers so terribly. Like they just treat you like you are like scum on the ground. They, like you're not human. And I was like, okay. And after work, every single shift after work, and whenever you're a server, it doesn't matter if you've been serving for 10 years, 3 months, whatever. You would always go out afterwards with your coworkers and just talk crap about all of the people that you served for that night. And I was like, these stories are so funny. And I have some stories from working restaurants that you would be like, no way that happened. And I'm like, no, it happened. And so I was like, why don't we talk about this? And so I just was like, well, let's, it was in the height of the podcast. Everybody's got one now. And so I was like, okay, well, I think I'm going to start a podcast and I'm going to call it, Can I Get Some Ranch? Because I mean, if you're in the industry, any restaurant, anywhere, it's like the number one question. They're like, can I please, excuse me, I just wanted a little ranch with this. And it's like, you got a steak, so it's,
yeah. I was guilty of being one of those people. I don't do that anymore, but I definitely was like, do you have any, my first question when I sit down is, not my first question, but definitely, because I'm always I'm looking at it like I want to save them an extra trip. I'm like,
yeah, of course.
I'm always like, can we get some extra napkins? I'm kind of messy. Like I always say it like that, like, because I just don't want them to, you know what I mean? Like, take 10,000 trips.
Honestly, and that's what they prefer. We would rather you be upfront and like, if you want, I don't care if you ask for ranch, just don't ask for 15 of them and then not use any of them because that is so frustrating. Let me tell you.
Because you probably notice it. You notice like, they didn't use any of the ranches.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, it's the best. And then they'll do this thing where they'll be like, yeah, my food got cold because I was waiting for that ranch. And it's like, you didn't even use it though. So I don't.
Oh, so when you started, did you work in the back of the house, that first job that you got?
I did. This was back in Ohio.
What was the name of the restaurant? I'd love to know the name of it.
I don't think it's there anymore, but it's called Beach Club Bar and Grill. And it was in Concord, Ohio, which nobody, unless you're from Concord, are going to know where that is.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was a super nice, small, restaurant. And there was only, I think it was a sous chef, an executive chef, and then me. So there wasn't, it wasn't like a whole kitchen staff, and it was a nice restaurant, ran really well. I was the pastry/salad chef, which means I just took stuff out of a bag and put it in a bowl and then put it on a plate. So
yeah,
not a lot of tough
work.
From
a bag to a plate. From a bag to a plate. Dang it, I got it wrong.
I thought it was so cool too, because they were like, fill the cannolis, and I was like, oh, I got this. I'll fill the cannolis. And I thought I was like a restaurateur being like, here's your cannoli. It was frozen 5 minutes ago, and I filled it. Like, I didn't do anything spectacular.
I remember when I started, when I did it for 3 months, I was nervous. I thought that I was like, I thought you go from being a waiter to from holding it here to am I going to eventually have to hold it up here? And they were like, dude, this is Baker Square. We're just a mom and pop. This is basically Denny's. Don't get too fancy, pal.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you're the one guy here's your moons over my hammy. No.
It's the first time I had to hold a tray, I was freaking out. I was like, how do they do this? This is it's such a skill. And the first time I ever held a tray, I had when I was training, because obviously they thought I could. And, so they're like, yeah, just load up the tray, head out there. And I was like, great. And it was at a place where we had to wear white button downs. And I had a tray of I remember it so specifically because it was scarring. I had a root beer, a red wine, and a beer, and I'm walking out to this huge party. It was 20 people, and I'm trying to deliver their drinks, my hand's shaking because I'm like, how do I hold this and balance? And it ended up going all over my shirt, and I had to work the rest of the shift just with this giant brown stain on my shirt, just walking up to tables like, hello, may I take your order?
Hi, I was in the back on my break, and party.
Sorry about this.
So I guess the lesson from there would be bring an extra shirt and at least have it in your car or something, right? I mean,
yeah. That would be a good lesson for a new server. Keep an extra in your car. That is.
You're right about that thing about lying to say that you have the job, because everyone told me that in the beginning. Like when you're starting out as a young person, they're like, just lie, just lie. That's what older people do. They tell you, just listen, man, I've been through it. I remember I asked for a job at a deli, and the guy asked, and I remember it was over the phone, and the guy said, do you have any experience with a meat cutter or a meat slicer or something like that? And I was like, no, we used to just do it by hand. And he did exactly what you did. He started laughing, and he goes, nice try, kid. He goes, but come by. I'd like to meet you, and maybe we'll have something else for you. I was too scared to go, because I was like, he caught me lying. And then as I got older, I realized, like, oh, they have like the machine, like there's like, you couldn't do it by hand. Like, you're still like, you probably could, but yeah, exactly.
It would take so much more time to get, sir, I would like my bologna sliced very thin. Okay, great.
Yeah, you're like some 18-year-old kid that's like, oh, yeah. Some are this thick, some are this thin, How do you like the show so far? Pretty good, right? By the way, here I am acting with John Travolta in the movie Be Cool. Check it out. If you like the show and you want to show your support, every little bit helps. Go to DarrenCarter.com. I'm on PayPal or Venmo at Darren Carter Comic on Venmo. Also, I'm available on Cameo and also Jemmy. All right, let's get back into the show. Oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. But so I worked at a radio station, and it was cool. I liked it, but I realized like I wasn't going to, like that wasn't the road to be a DJ, because I was doing behind the scenes, like, market research, where we'd call people up. Hi, what radio station do you listen to? And it was great for a long time. But then I got this idea, like, man, if I want to make more money, I should probably like learn how to wait tables and take home, because they were like, oh yeah, you could take home like, $100 every night cash. This is back in the 80s. I don't know what it was, but, and so I was like, oh, that sounds awesome. I'd rather who wouldn't want to make $100 cash every night, as opposed to like every 2 weeks you're getting a paycheck,
Oh yeah. What's funny is that hasn't $100 a night for some restaurants I've worked at. That's still the same thing. You still only make $100 a night. And it's
got to be different now too, right? With everything like, hey, let me tip you on the Cash App or Venmo you.
I haven't had people act. That's interesting. I've actually
that hasn't seeped into the restaurant world yet. Now it's still cash and credit.
Yeah, that's funny. I don't think it'll happen until restaurants will accept like Cash App and Venmo as forms of payment. But I have been tipped in other things before. That is for sure. I've been tipped in advice. That's great. Love getting tipped in advice. Oh. Yeah, that really pays my bills. No,
what kind of advice do they give? Like how to be a better server and all that kind of stuff? Is it backhanded compliments, or is it good advice? Or
no, it's never good advice when they don't leave a tip. It's because they're always just like not a good person. So you're like, okay, well, thank you for telling me to mow my lawn. That's exactly what I need to do here.
They're like, what I've learned in life? Make your bed first thing in the morning. It just starts out the whole day. Anyways, that's my verbal tip to you, my friend. And you're like,
yeah, it's a lot of kids, like a lot of teenagers would like to come in, and on the tip line, they'd like to write something on there. I can't remember. I remember taking pictures of some of my receipts at points and being like, yeah, this needs to go online. People need to know that people are doing, but no, I've been tipped in like marijuana before. Somebody was just like, here you go, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, they're like, yeah. I remember like I did a comedy show, and the guy wanted to pay me in marijuana, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to. I got a wife and kid. How's this gonna? He goes, well, you could sell it. I go, no, wait, now you're getting me to like do illegal things to pay my. No, man, just give me like the $50, whatever it was. It was like a local gig and
bad.
Exactly. Hey, listen, I got this great gig for you. Now you're gonna get a brick of cocaine, and it's like, dude, I know I'm the party starter, but I don't. No. It's like, no, stop.
They just insinuate. They're like, this guy's got it. He's got connections. Yeah. I'm sure he can figure it out.
Yeah. So I remember I went to this restaurant, and I went to the orientation, and they were the training day, and the guy was giving us the big pep talk, and because there's probably like 9 of us that were, I think, new or something. And And then guess what? I didn't even get to start as a waiter or a server. I started out in the kitchen as a dishwasher, like a dishwasher assistant. Like, you know, when you sit back at the house, it was terrible. It was an awful experience. I went from like this air conditioned radio station where it was just awesome and fun to be at, but you know, not that much money, to like this hot, steamy, like truck stop restaurant. And because you're spraying, and I remember my glasses, the water would splash back, and
the dish pit is literally the worst part of the restaurant. Everybody who works in there is just miserable. It's torture.
It was torture. And I was, you know, it was one of my earlier jobs. So I was super delicate. Like they want you just to put all the dishes in, slide it into the machine, pull the thing down, you know, and then move on to the next thing. And I was like making sure like I didn't. And the guy was like, andale, andale, andale. Oh, yeah, because I was no one really spoke English back there. Andale, andale. And I was like, and then I went like this, and like a bunch of them broke, and my glasses are all steamy and sideways. And I'm just like, and then I remember the guy goes, okay, we take break now. And then he popped open the door. This is the 80s. He popped open the door, and there was an aerobic studio like across the way.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is where we check out the chicks, man. And like the girl, and so these two guys are like smoking and like grabbing their crotches. And whenever the girls would bend over, they'd be going, hey, and I was just like, oh my God, this is my new crew. Like,
you're like, I'm associated as this guy now.
I know. We're the guys that like harass women at our break. And like, you know, like I'm sitting there shining my glasses up. Like, what do they look like, Jose? And I think I went like one more day, and then the manager was like, hey, listen, if this job isn't for you, just let me know. And I was like, I'll let you know right now. I'm ready to tap out, boss. So I had to step down, and that was just like, that was my first experience. And I was like, I don't want. So then I went back to the radio station.
Yeah.
And I think a year later is when I got, someone else gave me the bright idea. You know, I'm telling you that you don't have to be a dishwasher. You can work at this. And it was a restaurant. It was called Baker Square. Oh, and that was my first time. And I said I lasted about 3 months. They probably should have fired me after 2 months. They tried to, but I just kept putting it off. They're like, Darren, we need to talk. I go, I'll be right back. And I would just like go to my car. And they were probably like underserved. They probably needed somebody. So they were like, well, he's almost better than nothing until we can find a replacement. But
he's a body at this point. Exactly. And we need those. So
yeah. And at that time, I don't think I really ate out. I didn't really, you know, our family growing up, we didn't really dine out that much. So I didn't really, you know, there's a lot of follow-up questions that you have to learn. Like people would be like, yeah, I'll take 2 eggs. And then, so like I told you, I'd go to the kitchen. They'd be like, how do they want their eggs? Oh gosh, how do you want your eggs? Over easy. And, let's get it scrambled. I'm like, oh gosh, SC scrambled. And then I'd go back there, and they'd be like, what kind of side meat do they want? Oh gosh, did you want side meat? Did you want
breakfast places are the worst for that main reason. There's like 15 different questions on each thing that you order. You're like, bacon. Well, how would you like it cooked? Do you want 4 pieces or 5? Do you want, and you're like, oh my God, that's I've heard that a lot about. I've never worked at a specific breakfast place, but I've heard that a lot about those places.
Yeah. What kind of toast do you want? What kind of, I mean, all this stuff. I remember, and then, you know, so I remember they had me come in on my day off and follow, like they called it, what do they call it? Like shadowing the head waitress.
Oh yeah. Or just training. Yeah.
She's like, just follow me and learn what I do. She was giving me all these like shortcuts and life hacks. And, but it's like a professional. Yeah. It's like a professional boxer teaching someone right off the street, like all the stuff that would be common sense. But you know, at that age, it wasn't that common. She's like, people are gonna want straws. You put straws in your apron. They're gonna want ranch dressing. You got to put them in packets. They're gonna want napkins. They're gonna want cream with their coffee. So she had me loading up my whole apron. And then she's like, they're gonna want so basically like make 5 pre-made salads and then cover them with the saran wrap. I remember so I'm running up to the counter, boom, I go up against it. All the cream in my apron just like gets smashed and leaks out, goes right down my crotch area. It's kind of like your experience with the root beer and the wine. But
although yours is white and in the so wrong area.
Exactly. I'm supposed to look extra creepy, like, hello, would you like our chicken breast special this evening? You know, like
you're like, Jose's out the back just checking out the aerobics, you know, like
let's get physical. I want me hear your body talk. Yeah, it was an experience. And what I love though, I actually didn't mind working those, like, they call them slow shifts. I'm like, yeah, can I work at 2:00 on a Tuesday? Like I didn't mind. Like they'd be like, oh, my, I loved it when I'd only have like one table. That was like the best because I could just focus on them. And,
Yeah.
it was the terrible when like 3 sat down at once. They're like, oh my gosh. And, how about this? This is great when I loved it when there'd be a date. And
I love dates.
I love dates. And then the guy, I remember when this one guy would just order like a hot water, like he was really fit. He probably didn't want to have like sugar and stuff, but he would always tip though. He would order just a water and then like water and lemon, and then just kind of sip it like it's tea. And then he'd always tip me like $5 or something. I was like,
on nothing, which is nice.
On water. It was like easy to do. I mean, you just put hot water in it was easy.
And go. Oh my gosh, I wish that was how I've had up to, you're like 3 tables at once. I've had up to, I think I've served like almost like 19 tables at one time.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
I worked at a place that it was more so quantity over quality. So they didn't really care, like if you even got to a table on time, as long as they had something in front of them. And so I used to work the cocktail area, and we had, I think 20 tables in that area, and they were all 2 tops. So there was only, but sometimes they combine. And I remember one night it was so busy, and I was the only one on, and I had like 19. And those are the nights where I like go after, and I'm like, give me all of the alcohol right now, please. I just black out until I forget the night.
2 tops. You said that means 2 people at the table, right? 2 top,
I know. Sorry, the server lingo. It's 2 tops. And we don't ever associate people by like their name or their look either. Like as soon as you walk into a restaurant, you're a number. You're like, oh, hey, table 204. Yeah, did you see him? Yeah, I know, that was crazy. Like we don't be like, oh, that guy over there. No, everybody's associated with their table number. And so if you ever hear people talking about like a certain table, try to figure out what your number is to find out if it's you.
Table 46. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It's a restaurant is like the most insane place to work. So much goes down in there that you would be, I've seen some stuff. I've seen it all. I worked in the worst too. I worked in the worst. That's where I first served you, or no, I met you. I don't remember the first time. The first time I met you was somewhere in regards to comedy, because I remember talking to you about that. And this was probably like years and years ago. And then I served you again at a restaurant, and that restaurant that I served you at was a lot better than the one I had worked at previously. But I've seen.
It's funny you say that, because I do remember I was when you brought that up, you're like, I served you before, and I was like, and it stuck out. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember that. It was Fraser Smith and we had a writing session, and for some reason we went to that restaurant in Burbank, and I remembered that. I remember
what table you were at even. I remember that.
Wow, what table? Do we have a number?
Yeah, you were at table 90 at the time.
90. Wow, that's probably how many jokes we wrote. Oh wait, I'm sorry. That's the last time we wrote a joke. It was 1990. No.
I was gonna say 90. That's a lot of jokes in a day.
No. Yeah. Oh, we have been writing some good jokes, man. We have been writing some good jokes. Like, here's my latest topical material. So Bill Cosby, he wants to do a tour of comedy clubs. I don't know if you know this.
No.
This is true. His people are reaching out to comedy clubs to do tours. He was going to try to do it on Zoom, but his computer kept falling asleep. And if Fraser tells it, he'll go, come on, guys. Come on, guys.
Couldn't you also say that like he wanted to do it on Zoom, but did he give any of his victims like an STD or anything like that? You could always be
it's
like,
funny.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's always there's a virus or something.
Oh yeah, the audience is afraid of catching a virus.
Yeah. It's weird. We just kept getting images of sweaters. I don't really understand.
Yeah. And by the way, starting out, I was thinking when you said starting out in Ohio, isn't that great? Like that's a great place to start. Like if you were to do like any kind of something like you said, being a server in a small town where it almost doesn't matter. Like that's the best place to make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
Like before you move on to like the big time or another place where you did have experience by the time you got to California.
Yeah, I should have done that. I should have. I mean, I worked, like I said, I worked in the back of the house in Ohio, but I never served at a restaurant in Ohio. I went to a lot of that. And then my sister was a server in Ohio. So, and she's younger than me and not as smart. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
She's smart.
Well,
She's just not as smart as me.
right. I think the same thing with comedy. Like if you could kind of learn, in the shadows somewhere how to do something, and then before you're, ready for the big time and stuff. So what else can you tell us about serving or what's some good hot tips for the customers? Something that we should know. Like what
going out? Well, what you said in the very beginning is ask all your questions up front. If you're a sauce person, because I'm a sauce person, I like sauces with my certain foods. No, most servers have no problem with getting you what you want. Just ask it all at once rather than be like, hey, can I get that ranch? And then they come back and you're like, ooh, I need a refill. Ooh, I need every time because then we're like, if you have me running across this restaurant one more time, I'm not coming back to your table. So I would ask everything up front. And if you forget, don't be like, oh my God, that girl, she said to ask up front and we didn't. It's fine. Don't we're not gonna murder you over going to get a ranch, but just try to think the less they have to run around means that they're gonna be a better server for you. Oh gosh, there's so many tips I could give. Don't ever touch your server. Just don't touch them, unless they touch you first, unless they do because I'm like a touchy-feely person. I don't mind it, but I know a lot of people, they're like, table 46. Yeah, he touched my shoulder. It was weird. I want the manager to throw him out. And I'm like, okay, well, it seems little, that's just more so for, a lot of people will be like, don't touch me. Or what's an interesting one that most people wouldn't know? Take our advice when you ask what's good on the menu. We know how it's cooked and where it's cooked and who cooked it. And we know the good cooks back there. So if we're like, don't get appetizers, John's not very good at them and they're going to come out crappy. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to try it out. And then it comes out and you're like, I didn't like this. And I'm like, I told you, because John was making the appetizers. So listen to your server. We tell you the truth. I have no reason to lie to you. I just want you to spend money. That's it. So
right. I'm getting hungry just listening to this. I don't know, maybe the word appetizer, the cannoli word didn't really hit me, but now into the podcast, now I'm starting to picture yeah, exactly. What if somebody's actually listening to this in a restaurant right now? I want to shout out to you, whoever's listening to this podcast.
Listen to it, and they're just like, oh my God, I've asked for 7 things. Oh my God.
And I just got done dry humping my waiter. No, I was touching them inappropriately. No. But I did read this psychological thing that they said that when you on the other end, like if touching the customer, they tend to tip more. Like if you tap them on the shoulder, like everything will come out okay, or you just some kind of like they say if you touch them and you thank them, thanks for coming by. For some reason, it makes the customer kind of feel like a connection and they tip more. I read somewhere.
Interesting. I do that, but not knowing. It works for some people. Yeah. I mean, some people, I think that makes them feel more like more comfortable, like your family, I guess, which is a great way, I think, to Jesus, this coffee is like making me I feel like as soon as you walk into a restaurant, if somebody makes you feel comfortable and like your family, you're going to immediately be like, oh, okay, this place is cool. And then,
I tell you, I had an experience one time. I remember I have a friend, he loves going to Hooters, and I was in Sacramento and I hadn't seen him in a long time. He's like, hey, I want to get this thing. It's like it's like a passport thing where you go to different Hooters and they stamp it. And I'm like, I really don't like Hooters, but I'm like, cause it's going to be, I'm picturing loud and distracting and they upcharge for everything. And I'm just like, I'd rather go to, so I went there and I was right. Like the waitress she was trying to, I don't know, because there was like, it was 4 comics, 4 guys, and she was like, never mind me. And I remember she took the stool, she turned it upside down and was like, I'm doing a competition. And she was like acting like she was riding a bull or something. And I'm just trying to catch up with my friend. I hadn't seen him in 5 years. And it was so distracting and so like off-putting because it was almost like, look how cute I am, guys.
Oh yeah.
And then that night, I remember after the show, I went to Denny's and I liked the experience way better. I remember I had like a little bit of a sore throat, and the waitress, I think she even, I want to say she even sat down in the booth like across from us and was like, "Hey, hon, let me get you something." And she gave me a cough drop, and it was just like, I don't know. I felt way more of a connection with someone being nice than.
And it's going to make you think in your mind, you're going to be like, I mean, it's Denny's, but you're going to be like, I liked that Denny's. Like, if I'm back here, I'd go see if she, you know, I've had people who I've served who've loved me so much who've been like, can I like fly you around and you could just be my personal server? And
wow.
For a price, cool. I will do anything.
Exactly. Wait, I just realized, what if I mix the stories up? No, wait, I'm sorry. That was the lady at Denny's. I was like, I got a rodeo. I got a rodeo contest, y'all. Who wants a cough drop?
That sounds more like the Denny's. That sounds more like the Denny's I know.
Yeah. Did you?
It's not shocking.
With with your personality and also being an entertainer now, I would imagine like maybe some opportunities are going to come up besides, you know what I mean? Like you're going to make that connection in the restaurant, and then someone might be like, hey, I have this.
I've definitely met a ton of people by working at the restaurant, which is a huge reason why I love even doing it still. Like for any job, before you start making money in whatever it is that you want to be doing. I mean, I love people. I love talking to people. And also as a comic, it's like a way to test out everything on them before I actually take it to club. But I've met so many people via restaurants, and I'll try to be subtle. I won't like say what I do until they ask, but I'll definitely put on a show for them. You know what I mean? To get them to ask. But I've definitely got a lot of opportunities, especially working in Burbank, because that's where everybody in the studios goes for lunch. So I'm always like, okay, who am I impressing today?
Imagine if you found out like a big voice over casting agent or director was there. So then every time you give them a thing, you do a weird different voice, like almost like trying too hard. Like, here's your napkins. Yeah. And then you come back. Does anybody want some straws? Yeah. Do you do any voices? What would that be like?
I wish I feel like I could do voices. I haven't dived into that yet. Like I'll try to whip up. I could do like a good New Yorker. The funny thing is that sometimes in restaurants, I could do a New Yorker. You know, I could go fucking say, you know what I mean? But I when I worked at the restaurant, sometimes when I get bored, I'd be like, all right, different accent, different table. Let's do this. And then I'd forget what accent would be at what table. And they'd all be next to each other. And they're like, this server is nuts. She's done a Texas accent there, a Midwest accent there. And now she's talking like an Australian British person back here. I don't know what's happening.
You're like, I traveled a lot as a child.
I'm very confused in my mind. I don't know what and I just, so I have tried that, but I'm not, I gotta lock down some impressions. I've never tried it. I should try it though.
And so let's talk a little bit about comedy. So obviously you're a funny person, you have that funny aura, and now things are looking up for your stand-up. You're getting out there, you're starting, I mean, we're all getting out there now after the pandemic, and it's like, it's pretty amazing, right? Like I saw you get a regular spot at Flappers now, and
I'm actually it's crazy how right before the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, I'm starting to book a little bit more. My problem is that I've been doing stand-up for 10 years, but I didn't put in the effort that I should have the entire 10 years. I'd say probably the last like maybe 5 is where I've been like, okay, no, really, I need to do more. And right before the pandemic hit, I was like, okay, I'm starting to book. This is great. I think things are looking up. And then it hit, and I was like, uh-oh. But then oddly, all the online comedy, I feel like if you stuck with it and you actually did the online comedy, you came out a little bit ahead because you made connections and you made, people understood like what your comedy was and and so many more people got to see it. And then coming out of that, it's like somebody lit a bomb and comedy just exploded because it's everywhere.
Yeah. And just the fact that you have professional equipment, I know so many funny, talented people that haven't even upgraded to this level yet. Like, I love that you know what I mean? Like, tell us what you're using in case somebody wants to do something at home. Like,
actually, I shopped around for a long time for podcast equipment, and I have a friend who actually, he's like a producer of like 70 different podcasts. That's like what he does for his job. And I would ask him, what can I get? What can I get? And he would give me a list, and it was pretty expensive. And I was like, ugh, that's a lot. And so I was searching, and I found this whole, it's literally the whole shebang. It got me the board. It got me two of these microphones, 2 of these arms, 2 headsets. And it's the Rodecaster Pro, and it's amazing. It does everything for me. It's so easy to use. Like you just plug it in and it works. And it has all these little, I can make sound bites. Like for my podcast, I made up sound bites for it and everything. It was under $1,000 for everything. So I took a lot of that, that government money and decided to invest it into my career. So I updated my laptop. I updated my podcast equipment, because I originally got like $25 crappy USB mics from Amazon.
Yeah. I did the same thing. It's like, and it was better than my onboard microphone, but it still wasn't. It sounded muffled a little bit. And now this is really good. I used the Zoom PodTrack P4.
Okay.
And it's it's $199, but that's just for the machine. And then of course you got to get the mic and the cords and everything. But all that stuff helps. Sometimes it's almost too loud. Like sometimes I'll be drinking coffee and then you can hear it slurp. So I try not to do that. like
ASMR.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome to the Whisper Podcast. I'm your host, Darren Carter, the party starter. And today we're starting a slumber party. Hopefully you can hear that.
This is me drinking coffee. Like, and you're just like, wow. Okay.
Can I please have some more ranch dressing? Yeah. I wonder if ranch is going to go away. Like, is it?
Oh my God!
Is it increased in popularity? No, it's just increased.
No. I feel like the day ranch goes away is the day the world ends, for sure.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People would go nuts.
I went to Bob's Big Boy the other day with my 13-year-old son. I love Bob's Big Boy. By the way, the waitress there was so good. There was a 45-minute wait.
Oh wow.
And I said, I didn't really want to wait for 45 minutes. I said, can we sit at the counter? And she's like, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. I was like, oh, perfect. So it was great. I sit down at the counter. My son's next to me. There's a couple spaces over here, and this is great. And then when you know, about 8 minutes in, this large gentleman sits right next to me. And I'm like, oh no, it's like it's like,
like you're the middle seat on a plane. Like you're like,
exactly. Because at first I was stretching out. I'm like, this is great. We beat the system. There's no 45-minute wait for us, son. And this guy like just sits down and, he's got his headset and his iPad and he's playing some game online. And so now I'm just eating like this the whole time. I'm just, where you're just like, like you don't want to like touch the person and you're just like, but like I tell you, the waitress was so good because I remember I asked for extra napkins and she like, boom, there's the napkins. The guy next to me, I overheard him say like, oh, could I have like a side plate for my fries? And she's like, and she literally was like, she's like, you want medium or large? Yeah. Because they're all right there. And then she was just so good. It's funny. I tipped her pretty good. And on top of that, well, before I did that, I just complimented her, but then I thought, man, I hope she doesn't think I'm giving her like this verbal tip. So because I was overly complimentary, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't want her to think like, okay.
If you go too much, they're like, yeah, great.
Exactly. Like 9, 10, 11 sentences in, she's like, okay, is this all I'm going to get as a verbal tip? Like, like you ever get like a birthday card from someone and then it's great when there's like a nice, say something nice. And then inside of it, they've included like a gift card or something. It's like, it's like, you want to do the thing. You don't want to just be like, you were great, fantastic. And she's like, opening the gift, like, oh, there's nothing inside this person.
Oh, that's the best when they write like, or when they just write a huge 0 on the tip line and cross it through, and they're like, but then on the top they wrote, "Great surfer, good job," and you're like, oh,
5 stars.
Yeah. Oh,
but I really did feel genuinely. Not only I said thank you for making this experience. So I mean, especially after being in a lockdown and not really being able to dine out like we could, and to be inside like with like air conditioning and the jukebox playing music and just seeing happy people smiling and just it was great. Like that's one thing I've really noticed that I really like now, like things that I used to make jokes about. I actually like when I'm at a restaurant, this has happened like 3 times now, where the wait staff will break out into happy birthday at a table. And I'm like, wow, that's so cool. Like I'll actually like clap at the end and kind of feel happy for the family. And, I remember
those things.
Yeah, you miss those things, right? I remember comedians would crack jokes about that back in the day, but I'm like, you know what? It's nice. It's nice that someone has a birthday in public and their family or their loved ones take them out. And it's just a nice thing,
It is nice. It's nice. It's not nice for the server, but it's nice for everybody to. I've luckily never. Well, actually, I've worked places where they've asked us to sing, and we're like, yeah, well, I don't really care to like. I don't mind it, but it would be nice that everyone would be like you going out of the pandemic, being like, wow, you know what? It's been really rough. Like, let's just put a smile on our face and be happy to be out. But it's like the pandemic made some people just take their notch of terrible and just go, you know what? Let's crank this. And they just jacked it up.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
I haven't worked. I'm in between jobs looking for a different serving job. But I worked a little bit during the pandemic, and I have never been stiffed more than I did working in the pandemic. It's like people were like, we're just out for food. Here you go. And you're just like, what? And then as a comedian, it makes me feel worse because like I put on a show for every table. And I mean, it's $10 a ticket minimum for most shows at this point.
Right,
and I'm like, you got that for free. And then you left me nothing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to hear that you had a great time and then actually like the waitress made an impact and it affected you to be like, oh, you know what? That was really nice. Cause a lot of people don't do that. And it'd be nice to hear more. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. You just gave me a verbal tip. Thank you. That was
Tell your landlord what I told you.
Exactly. I'm a good person in public. I appreciate people. No, let me ask you a couple of quick questions before we get out of here and let you get on with your day. What is something that you've recently either discovered or something you've rediscovered? Something you've either rediscovered or discovered?
Just in general. Let's see.
I can also go first, or I can go second.
Yeah, go first. Give me a second. Let me think about something
Okay.
while you go.
I'll tell you something I've rediscovered, and that's the joy of playing air hockey with my son. And because we hadn't played air hockey in so long, and you have to do it on a real table where the air actually blows, because that's what makes it. If you get like the homemade ones or whatever, it's not going to be as good.
Right.
And just there's something fun about having someone you love across the table, or a friend or somebody, and you guys are like ding ding ding, and it's competitive, and then you're learning the angles, and then let's say they win the first game, and then you play again. Now you win. Now it's a tiebreaker, and it's something so simple, and it doesn't cost that much money. You can literally go down to so many places at the mall, or just find an air hockey table and play air hockey, and it's awesome.
That is awesome.
I've rediscovered air hockey.
I love air hockey. Okay, as soon as you said air hockey, I thought of it. I rediscovered bike riding. I bought a bike over the pandemic. I haven't rode a bike. I used to ride bikes all the time. When I first moved to California, I didn't have a car, so I would ride my bike to work, and I love it. It's like freeing. You get to just be out in the sun and riding around. And so during the pandemic, my cousin and I bought bikes, and bike riding. I love it. It's easy. It's free. You just get to explore your city, and it was fun. I love it. Now I go on one at least like 1 or 2 times a week now. So
I did the same thing. I bought a bike during the pandemic. They said there was a bike shortage, and I was yeah. So you got really lucky. We both did. I actually found a bike at Walmart, a 29-inch bike. Like the tires are 29-inch. It's nice. Really big, and it's I forget. It's a Schwinn. I think
is it like a beach cruiser?
No, it's a mountain bike. I think.
Oh, okay.
They call it.
Yeah.
It's I think it has 10 gears, but I just leave it on the one gear all the time, like the one the best gear where you can really get the most out of your pedaling.
Yes.
I love it. I know exactly what you're saying. I got my little. I usually go where there's no cars, so I can put my I think it's called a JPL like clip speaker, and I can play music or podcasts, and but I can still hear like things around. I don't, in other words, keep it safe, but it's so fun. Like I said, where you get the wind blowing, I'd say in your hair, but I don't have any, but where there would be hair, I got the wind blowing and like, what kind of bike did you got a beach cruiser?
I got a beach cruiser. I think mine's a Schwinn as well. I found mine at I got mine at Target. I think I found it. And it's awesome. I love it. It's blue and white. I ride it up. I do writing sessions with my friend at a coffee shop right here in Burbank. Actually, I think it's considered Toluca Lake. It's right across from Bob's, but
is it called Priscilla's?
Yeah, the best coffee place ever.
That's where I would go when I first moved to LA. I'd go to Priscilla's. I had a friend that was a screenwriter. He's like, you got to go down there. There's a lot of industry. It's kind of cool. Who is some people that you've seen in there?
I've seen, did you ever watch Shameless at all? Did you ever, Deb, she goes in there a lot. I'm sure there's a lot of producers and stuff, but I'm terrible at remembering. I need to know more of them. And I'll like watch a movie and be like, remember that name. And then I'll forget, but I see so many people in there and I know their industry. Cause you just can tell industry when they're talking.
Yeah.
But I go there for their blueberry coffee. It is.
Wow.
It's a blueberry iced coffee and it is fantastic.
I wrote down Deb from Shameless. Somehow I'm going to tie this into the podcast title to get more clicks.
Do it.
Heather.
She's awesome. She lives in
Heather Winter, personal connection with Deb from Shameless. Deb from Shameless.
Deb's gonna be like, "Who is this woman? I've never seen her." And I'm gonna be like, "I've seen you." Like,
yeah, I got you ranch, Deb.
Yeah. This is a coffee shop. I got a croissant. Why are you bringing me? I don't know. Here it is. Like,
yeah, that's funny. I used to go to Priscilla's all the time. Maybe I should go back. I do like the energy in there. I feel like it's very creative, and people are they're there to work, and it's like.
And everybody's polite and nice in there too, which I love. The workers are always like, yeah, of course. What do you need? Here you go. And they're just super friendly.
One time I remember one time I was at the smokehouse not too far from Priscilla's. And speaking of celebrities, I remember George Clooney was sitting directly behind us.
No.
He was at the booth behind us. I think he was with Steven Soderbergh, he was with the director. And my wife the entire time was like, oh my God, George Clooney's like right behind you. And so I remember I actually said this. I go, be honest, is he that much more good looking? I go, no, come. And I go, I'm going to move my head. And so I like move my head so she could see both of us, And she's like, just keep moving. And so I'm eating the rest of my meal down here. Honey, can I come up now? I know Clooney's behind us, but
she's like, no, stay down.
Stay down.
This is a week's worth of views I need. Oh,
exactly. She's just eating the whole time. George Clooney.
I used to, well, I still do, but I hike past his house or his house that they say is his house. And there's cameras everywhere. And my sister and we would hike past it and we would just like be hiking and just scream George, but make it look like it wasn't us screaming it. We'd be like, George, and then just like keep running and just see if anything happened. It never came.
He comes out. Hey.
He's like, who's calling my name?
Who said George? Yeah. Okay. My next question, you kind of answered it with the bike, so it may or may not work, but is there something that you've recently bought that's made you a little bit happier? Something that you bought and you're like, oh, I really like this new thing that I bought.
It could be my bike for sure. My podcast setup, but also I bought some rollerblades. That's, I think I grew up rollerblading. I used to do the skate parties, all that. I bought rollerblades because I was like, I'm getting back into this. Oh my God. That's one thing where it's not like you can't jump back into rollerblades like a bike. Oh. You gotta remember those muscles. Cause I get on that thing now and I'm like, oh my God. I got all the pads. I got the helmet.
Oh yeah. Did you get the wrist guards?
Oh, I got the wrist guards. I got the wrist guards, the knee guards, the elbow guards, the helmet. I'm like, I am not dying on these. Rollerblades. I
used to do that down in San Diego, and yeah, you got to get that wrist guard thing. It has like a metal thing, so if you fall, it's clink, and it'll. Yeah, because you're gonna fall, and it's gonna
happen. I just wish that they would have also issued like a butt guard so that I wouldn't feel bad about falling. You write it on my tailbone. You know?
Ooh, yeah. Ouch. I can already picture that. Ooh, yeah.
It's not great.
In closing, do you have any words of wisdom, something you've learned along the way, or advice to any up and coming comics that are listening to this, somebody that wants to pursue what their dream in life?
Yeah, I have advice, I think, in both. I think my overall advice is something that I've always tried to practice, and it kind of was brought to my attention the other day. It's kindness. Everybody, there's such a lack of kindness, I think, right now, and it goes a long way. And I say this because there was a woman whose car was broken down. Her car broke down at a stoplight, and people were honking at her, going around her. And I didn't see anybody checking on her. And I passed her, and I told my sister, I go, we should go check and see if she's okay. And I did. First of all, I was in a dress and heels, and I walked over to her car, and I was like, did it die? And she's like, yeah. She had a kid in the back seat. And I go, well, let me push it right here to this little thing to get you out of the road. And I pushed it by myself as cars were beeping and honking going around. And, I pushed her into a spot where she's out of traffic, and she was grateful. And I just thought, 1,500 cars passed her without anybody even thinking to get out to help. And men, women alike. And to me, I'm just like, kindness. That woman is now happier. It goes a long way to be kind to people and to do the good things. And it took 5 minutes out of my day to do it.
And think about how it makes you feel even 10 times better, and it just carries on, right? The vapors of that good deed, it feel like, oh,
it's great. And I hate to be like the one to say and talk about it, but the only reason I talk about it is because I want people to be like, oh, so it does. I feel like it'd be weird if I just got out and pushed her car. Oh, who cares? Just do it. It's nice. It's kindness. So that's always my thing. I always just think that karma goes a long way, good and bad. So I think, that things like that. And then,
especially when you're pushing a broken down karma. Hey-o. I'm in my heels, folks.
I'm in my heels. I'm in a heels and dress. I don't wear heels and dress often, and I did.
Let me ask you this: when you started pushing the car, because they say usually when someone's pushing a car, other people will try to help push. Did that happen?
Absolutely no.
Really?
And that's where I was like, in my mind, I was like, because I get it. People have their issues where they're like, I don't want to be the first one to get out and push. Like people are going to be like, oh my God, they're pushing. You know what I mean? They're just in their minds. And I get that. So I was like, well, let me be the first one and see if somebody else will get out of their car. Cause I was pushing it literally less than 100 feet away. Like it wasn't a far distance, and not one person got out of their car to help me. I pushed it through a intersection, still no. And I was like, you know what? I didn't mind because I did it fine, but I was like, the fact that no one even stopped to be like, are you good? Are you good? You know what I mean? This poor woman with a child in the back seat, just embarrassed, doesn't know what to do, doesn't know why her car died. And it just made me think, like, people need to be nicer to people.
Yeah. I tell you, I found a wallet, but I don't know, 6 months ago. I was at a stoplight. I saw these scattered credit cards. Yeah. I'm like, what the heck? That doesn't look normal. And I looked, and there was a whole wallet. So I picked it all up, pulled over, and I saw that, I saw the address. I typed it into my Waze GPS, and I realized like it was literally like 3 blocks away. Yeah. I'm like, I'm going to go return their wallet. And as soon as I pulled up, I honked the horn, and these 2 ladies were on the porch. She goes, please tell me you found my wallet. And I was like, I did. I found it. And she's like, where was it? And she said, apparently she had put it on top of the car when she put the groceries in and drove off. And,
my God. But
it felt great to see that smile on her face. Yes. Because I put myself in her shoes, and she was like, she's like, I'm a nurse and I had a long day. And it was just, she's like, I was already thinking tomorrow I got to call the credit card company. I got to call all these. And so just to save for that headache was like, it was amazing. It made me feel good. It made me feel good. And,
of course, it's a reciprocated feeling on all ends. There is no way to not feel good for doing something.
I have a friend that I think he battles with mild depression. And I was on the phone with him the other day. He was in a drive-through, and I overheard him say, when he paid for his coffee at wherever he was at, like a drive-through, he goes, I want to pay for the car behind me. And the lady, she goes, you want to pay for the car behind you as well? He goes, yes, please. And then I go, hey, did you just pay for the car behind you? And he said, he said, yeah, he goes, whenever I feel like I'm just like I'm trying too hard, like trying to take from the world and things aren't happening and going my way, I get depressed. He goes, so I immediately, I know like the one way to snap myself out of it is to give back and to like he's, buy people's coffee, push a car, tip somebody better, like smile, whatever. Just give somebody, don't give them advice as a waitress or whatever. Mow your lawn and get up early and make your bed. But, and that was a good lesson that I overheard, by him saying that. And I was like, that's true. It's like, it makes you feel good. Like
it does.
When you go a little bit above and beyond,
Yeah. And like like we said, it doesn't take anything out of your life. Obviously he could afford to pay for that car behind him. Obviously I could spare the 5-10 minutes it took to push the car. Obviously you could spare the, few minutes it took for you to drive and drop off the wallet. And it didn't affect your day in a negative way. So it's just like, if people would stop just being so negative and mean and just be more kind and giving and caring, this world will be on such a different level than it is right now. And it's sad that, you can see a million different, bad things happen and you're just like, the world's bad, the world's bad, the world's bad. But there's a reason that when you see one good thing happen, you restore faith, because you're like, oh, there is good in the world. And so, I try to do as good, kind, random things that I can without needing to advertise them and tell people, because I don't want people to think I'm doing it for like somebody to be like, hey, you're a good person. No, I don't. I do it because I want myself to know I'm a good person and that I'm doing good things.
It's almost like a selfish reason in a sense, where it's like, I'm doing this good thing because it makes me feel good. Sorry.
Yeah. But in the end, if it helps somebody else, then great. And then I think that's a huge reason why I'm in comedy, is because in my mind, and this is, I guess, advice for any new comic who's looking to get in, do it for the right reasons. I am not in this, for the limelight or for the money, although the money to survive would be great. Like if I could just make enough to pay my bills and live. But I do comedy so that I can make those people out there that have something negative going on in their life just have a little bit of joy when they get to watch comedy. They get this, they get to smile or laugh or like, you know what I mean? Like just have a little bit of joy in their life to take them away from whatever negative things are happening. And so if you're a new comic coming out, I think just, do it for the right reasons. Be that person that just wants to make the world laugh and be a better place. And I think that'll help you in the end, That's right. Heather, thank you so much for being on the Pocket Party podcast. Enjoy the rest of your day, and listeners and viewers, thank you for spending your day with us, and we'll see you soon. And that's it. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Bye, guys. Bye.
We're done with this interview.
Everybody listen to Darren Carter. We all know he's the party starter. So if you want to listen to a podcast for free, then listen to the Pocket Party.